is Jennifer Drout.
Okay.
And I'm the owner of Aloha Accounting and Tax LLC. It sounded like a great idea in theory in the beginning, but I have to say, of course, as you know, being a bookkeeper, I was skeptical that anything could be better than QuickBooks. Because in the beginning, you start comparing this software to QuickBooks, and you think, okay, it doesn't do this, and if you're a bookkeeper who's so used to using QuickBooks and all the functionality and the little features that it has, you're looking for something that's going to be better than that with just tons of features. But really, it all comes down to two things for me. The most important things was time efficiency and having client participation. Those are the two things that really mattered the most to me. And all those other little bells and whistles about what QuickBooks has and, you know, those features you end up using not that often, and the fact that you may not have them doesn't really affect too much time savings on my part at all. When I was searching for something more online, because I traditionally brought up to do the whole QuickBooks desktop version of everything. When I was searching for an online product, I went to Xero and went through their certification to try to use that software, and quickly found out that software is really just meant for accountants only, and if you are not an accountant, you're not going to understand that software at all. And it was very difficult to try to navigate through if you're a non-accountant. I would pretty much say impossible. So if you're not an accountant, I would not suggest that software. I think it was made for accountants, in my opinion. But business owners are busy being business owners. I mean, that's what they do best, and that's what they should be doing, is running their business. Whatever trade they're in, whatever industry they're in, that's what they should be doing for a living. They shouldn't necessarily be worrying too much about the numbers in the books, but that does not mean that they shouldn't know about them, and they shouldn't be reviewing them, and they shouldn't have an idea about what their numbers are and whether they're doing better or worse, or what things they could be making or doing better. Yes, my clients like Cheqbook. They like it because it's easy for them to understand. Like I said, even QuickBooks, that was meant to be simple for the average business user to use, is still somewhat accountant-like, and if you're not accountant-like, you don't always understand it. But Cheqbook is really quite simple. It's color-coded, it's very organized, and they can really easily participate. And it saves them so much time. They look in and they see, wow, all this stuff is already there, and it did it automatically. I didn't do it. It downloaded. It's already, they log in and their numbers are there from the night before. How'd they get there? I didn't do it, so the software did it. And they're like, wow, it's amazing. My bank balance is there, my stuff is there, and it's categorized. And they're just sort of amazed by it, that it's doing all that stuff automatically in the background without them not having to, initiate that. They definitely like the repeat transaction thing. So when they tell it once that, okay, Tesoro is automobile gas, then it repeats that forever, and they never have to tell it to do that a second time. So it gets smarter as they use it. So, in the beginning, it might take some time to tell it how to deal with your transactions, but as soon as you tell it what to do once, it knows what to do for the rest of the time you ever download transactions from those same places. So it saves them a lot of time, and they end up having to do less and less to even make sure that everything's perfectly accurate inside of the checkbook. So, right. Well, again, going back to those two things that I love the best. A, it saves me a ton of time. So that's the most important thing for me because I'm very busy. So having software that does more of the data input and the mundane stuff for me as much as that is humanly possible is great. And the fact that I don't have to go into the software and tell it, yes, download, or yes, take it out of quarantine and put it into my register, and I don't have to do that every single time I need to, do somebody's books, is amazingly great. And then the last thing was just, like I said, the client participation. Being able to have my client go in and help me categorize checks or things that I don't know. I can see who they're from, but I don't know what they were for. And the client needs to tell me what they're for. They can do that now. I don't have to send them a report. They don't have to print out that report, handwrite on what they were for, and send it back to me, and then I go in and make the changes. They just go in and make the changes themselves. It's really great. So I just leave all the things I'm not sure about in the red category. They click on red, that's my homework list, and they categorize those, and off to the races. We're doing well. So
and off they go.
Off they go.
Very cool.
It really saves time. So for me, it just is an amazing time saver. Things that I would have to, try to pay another bookkeeper to do, a data entry person. Okay, can you, here's, all these accounts, please go in every single month, at least download their stuff and put it in there. And then that bookkeeper wasn't familiar enough with that client to know how to categorize things. So I still always had the recategorizing, moving things around issue. I mean, that was always my job, but now I don't have to do the downloading, and then the bank rec part is just, it always matches and it's always downloaded. They're going to save a lot of time and money. I mean, first and foremost, because time is money, right? So if the software is doing most of the work for you, then you don't have to pay somebody else to do that. So, I mean, it's going to save you on bookkeeping time, which you would think would be a bad thing for me. I should be upset about that, but I'm not, because I have too much work. So I'm just trying to find a way not to do as much work. So I tell them you can pay a bookkeeper to hand enter all that stuff in there, or you can pay a bookkeeper to download it, and still with QuickBooks it's going to take you a lot of time, or you can let the software do it, and it's going to do it every single night without you being involved, without you having to tell it what to do. It's going to download your banking transactions, it's going to categorize them for you, and your bank account's always going to match what it should be every single day without a human being involved. And that is a great selling point to them, to at least know that much is done. Time saving. Like, who wants to go through quarantine if you don't have to? I mean, why go through all of that hassle if you can save yourself the time every single month of having to, direct a software to do the downloading and tell it to take the stuff out of quarantine and where to put it. If you can save yourself that much time on every single client, you multiply that times the number of clients you have, it's an amazing savings. I mean, I used to have to pay pretty much a full-time assistant to help me do that part of stuff every single month. I don't have to do that anymore, and it's really great. You could, depending on the number of clients you have, I mean, I'll save, like I said, an hour a month for every client that you have. You got 40 or 60 clients easily just on that stuff alone. But then you get new clients all the time. I mean, this is it's a quick setup too as a bookkeeper, trying to have a very immediate setup where you can pull data in going all the way back from the beginning of the year in minutes and have it all categorized for you. I mean, that's an unbelievable amount of savings that you don't have to go back and either manually enter off of statements, or it's just great.